But the breaking news is Trevor Lawrence just got a massive extension and became the highest paid player in the NFL. And that seems kind of weird to say Trevor Lawrence is the highest paid player in the NFL. It is weird because he's not the best player in the NBA, or excuse me, NFL. He's not even the top, I would say, 10 quarterback. But this is just the way the economics of the things work. Let's take a look at my man Chris Broussard and Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, the odd couple. They broke this down, and they had a stat that just shows how the quarterback market really goes, and it has nothing to do with who's good and who's not.
Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback signs a 5-year, $275 million contract extension. $200 million guaranteed. The $55 million a year, Rob, ties him now with Joe Burrow of the Bengals for the top mark in money per year. What are your thoughts on this?
It's just the NFL, and this is we keep seeing it. It's just you have a quarterback, their turn comes up, and it's not based on stats or where you fit in the game. I mean, I think of it. What was the guaranteed money, Rob G?
200.
200, and when Mahomes signed, his guarantee was 60. How? Like, none of this makes any sense to me, Chris. But this is the NFL. We talked about it before when Matthew Stafford was with the Lions. He was the highest paid player in the league. Hadn't even won a playoff game to that point. So none of this really, like, it's just if you have a quarterback, franchise quarterback, but
Miami hadn't done it with Tua.
Not yet. But
and remember, the Ravens fought it off with Lamar and obviously ended up paying him.
So this stat is courtesy of the 33rd team, all right? Daniel Jones has paid an extra year, so his numbers are going to be higher in general. But across his first 48 starts, Trevor Lawrence, 12,204 total yards. Daniel Jones, 11,992. Yards per attempt, both of them, 6.7. Total touchdowns, Trevor Lawrence, 66. Daniel Jones, 64. Total turnovers, Trevor Lawrence, 55. Daniel Jones, 54. QB rating, Trevor Lawrence, 85.5. Daniel Jones, 85.4.
That's shocking.
I don't know why it's shocking. Shout out to Chris Broussard. Shout out to Rob Parker, the odd couple. And that clip was courtesy of them over there. Make sure you guys check out that podcast and subscribe on YouTube to their channel. Chris has been great to us over the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Been on multiple times on the radio show. So shout out to Chris, who is a Cleveland guy. Let's talk about this a little bit. Let's go and show you exactly what we mean right here. And this is going to add some further context to what we're talking about. This is the average per year earnings via Sport Track. As you can see, average per year earnings, Trevor Lawrence is at $55 million. He's number one. Joe Burrow's 2. They basically tied at $55 million right there, right? And Jared Goff, $53 million. Comes in at 30. He just signed a new deal. Justin Herbert, $52 million. Lamar Jackson is at 52. Jalen Hurts at 51. Kyler Murray's at 46. Deshaun Watson is at 46. Kirk Cousins at 45. Patrick Mahomes has a deal. He's at 45, but guess what? He'll get another one if he wanted to today. He go in there and tell him, I want all my money today. He can get it. However, Patrick Mahomes is a little smart. He understands that it's going to take some money in order to sign the rest of his players to make his roster still up to snuff in terms of competing in his prime for championships. So he lets that, he don't take the most he can get, right? He don't destroy the cap. So that's the only reason he's not doing that. But if you look up here and we talk about, the finances and how are they concerned, this is why I always got a problem when people want to talk about Deshaun Watson, how horrible of a deal it was, and it's the contract. But these guys don't understand, as we're going to point out here in a couple of seconds. It just boils down to economics. It's simple supply and demand. It's simple economics, guns and butter. That's what it is. That's what it's talking about, right? Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence's record. He's 20-30, 1-1 in the playoffs. And he's the highest paid player. Joe Burrow actually, is the second highest paid player, but he's only 7 games over 500. Jared Goff, no one looks at him as the best player in the league. He just happens to be the guy whose contract came up when it was time for him to get paid. Justin Herbert is a guy who's an up-and-coming guy, but look at his record, 30-32. He ain't even a 500 record. Lamar Jackson, they had to fight big, and he had to go tooth and nail just to be able to get that. If anybody deserves it, it would be Lamar Jackson. 58-19 with his record. Look at his QB rating, 98.0. I ain't got a problem with that. Jalen Hurts just got paid, 51. Kyler Murray really ain't done nothing. He's 28, 36-1. He's still getting paid more than Deshaun Watson, right? Kirk Cousins, right? He hasn't won a Super Bowl. He hasn't done anything in the playoffs. So my thing is this. When you look at this list, none of these guys are pretty much ever, none of these guys have ever been the best quarterback in the league. They just haven't. And so where do we break this down at, G. Bush? Well, here's how we break this down. It boils down to, as Rob Parker talked about, who is next up in that deal, and you're going to get the highest paid contract in the league. And the way it works is this. Because quarterback is the most coveted position on the field, it's simple economics. Why are diamonds worth a lot? Why is gold worth a lot? Because there's only a finite amount of it on this planet, on this rock. And so when the price of diamonds is way up here, you say, why is it? Because it's rare. Quarterbacks are rare. A quarterback that can throw for 4,000 yards, a quarterback that can get you to the playoffs is rare. So if you're a quarterback and you put up big numbers in your contract year, it don't even matter if that's the best year of your life. You're going to be the highest paid quarterback because no one's going to let you hit the open market and have to start all the way over again, not knowing if they can ever get another quarterback in the draft. And by the way, there is no free agent market for top flight quarterbacks. There just isn't, because no one lets top flight quarterbacks go. By the way, everybody gets confused about the guaranteed money. Once again, if you are able to get your team to the playoffs, or you are just a player that people think can get you there, or you could put up 4,000 plus yards, the opportunity cost outside of who you are is so low that they're going to retain you anyway. So no quarterback that is good to excellent to spectacular is never going to get cut. So theoretically, every contract as a quarterback is guaranteed. All of it. All of it. They're going to get that bag. That's what it is. So when you talk about, whether guys are worth it or if they're top 10 or not, it don't matter. Now we see, we continue to talk about this. The Deshaun Watson contract, day by day, week by week, looks a little better. I mean, I haven't seen Kyler Murray move no earth. I haven't seen him move the land, sea, and earth. He ain't done nothing. And he came off an injury. Trevor Lawrence has done nothing, right? But I don't gripe about it. I just understand what the economics of the position in the NFL is. You can find a receiver, right? You can find other positions. Quarterbacks don't grow on trees. So therefore, it's just simple supply and demand. And so nobody who has drafted a guy, invested that type of capital, and understands that you may not be able to find another guy to replace him, nobody's not going to retain those guys' services. So Trevor Lawrence, is he the best QB in the league? No, he's somewhere in the middle. But it doesn't matter. The reason he's the highest paid quarterback is because it was just that way. It just happens to fall on the opposite time frame when, guess what? It came up, his contract was up, and guess what? The next quarterback up is going to get that bag. It is what it is. So when you hear people consistently bag on the Deshaun Watson stuff or talk about quarterbacks or talk about people ain't worth it, just tell them it's simple economics. It's not that difficult. It's not that hard. But, people fall into the thing where they just, that's the only angle they got. It's the only angle they look at. It's the price of doing business. So if you don't got a quarterback or you miss on the first round quarterback, a la the Jets, a la the Cleveland Browns. The Jets missed twice. That just goes to show you how thirsty these teams is for quarterbacks. So you're going to have guys playing a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of guys out here demanding a lot of money. And that's just the way it is. Things will never be the same, like Tupac said.